Hello everyone, it's Joel Davis with United Medical Transportation Providers Group and youarethebroker.com, helping you to build a highly effective and highly profitable broker business. Thank you for watching this video. Watch the entire video because we are going to get into some content-rich material, especially regarding brokers, which brings up the topic of the sponsor for this video. Stay tuned.
Are you interested in starting a business that you can't grow or scale? How about a business where you're treated more like a sharecropper than a legitimate business owner? Would you like to own a business where you have no direct access to your customers? How about a business that can cost you more to deliver service than you actually make? Do you dream of owning a business that you can sell for scrap versus selling at a multiple? Well, if you've answered yes to any of those questions, then we definitely encourage you to partner with Logisticare, where they're going the extra mile to ensure their profitability so you don't have to ensure yours. And let's not forget some of the other added values. When you partner with Logisticare, you get to wreck your vehicles in exchange for lower rates of reimbursement. And speaking of lower rates of reimbursement, when you make less money, you get to ensure your employees make more money than you do. And fear not, don't ever worry about being paid for cancellations or no-shows, because when you partner with Logisticare, you are guaranteed never to be paid for cancellations or no-shows. And let us not forget to mention that there is no guaranteed trip volume and frequent denials for previously approved trips. And let us not forget to mention the little ditty that Logisticare representatives make more money depending on how much money they save the company, which means their bonuses are based on how little they pay you. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're serious about building a business you can't grow or scale, you're going to be treated like a sharecropper, you have no access to your customers, it's going to cost you more money to deliver service than you're actually going to make, and you're going to end up selling your business for scrap, then we encourage you to sign up with Logisticare, where they are going the extra mile to ensure their profitability so you don't have to focus on yours. And as an added benefit of taking advantage of this great opportunity and setting up Logisticare, you do not need to check into an insane asylum because you are hereby rendered officially insane.
All right. Maybe they're not a sponsor of this video. I don't do sponsors. I don't have to. That's not my thing. But I just couldn't help but take advantage of that because I don't care for Logisticare, and Logisticare definitely doesn't care for me. Now, speaking of Logisticare, I want to share with you what happens. What many of you need to understand, what happens a lot of times is, especially Logisticare, they're notorious for it. They will recommend and suggest key insurance agent, partners, providers, whatever, for you to go get your insurance from. And what Logisticare allows you to do is, rather than you even having to pay that insurance agent for your insurance, that money for premiums just gets deducted from what Logisticare already owes you. So it's very ambiguous. I think that's a little too much Russian collusion, shall we say? Too much collusion there. So maybe Congress should investigate that. But go ahead and take a look at this right here. Now here's an example. Some of you may have seen this. I've seen a couple different renditions of this, and at the very bottom of it, it always shares the contact information of one of the insurance agents that the broker, in this case Logisticare, is trying to peddle you to. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. Again, I've seen different versions of this, but I want you to take a look in the center. It says commercial insurance costs are expected to increase dramatically in the coming months. Why? Why are they going to be increasing in the coming months? I never heard of anything. Have you? I mean, they've increased over a period of years as it is, but why is it that right now commercial insurance costs are expected to increase dramatically in the coming months? Why? What's causing that? I don't know. Is it to just build up fear, to get you to do something, to control you, to manipulate you, to get you to take action, to prompt you? All part of the manipulation. You got to be very careful of what you watch, what you read, what you put in your mind. Now more than ever, it's important that business owners work with a broker that truly understands the industry. So let's get you all scared and concerned. Commercial insurance costs are expected to increase dramatically in the coming months, now more than ever. It's important that business owners work with a broker that truly understands their industry. I, the agent, the broker agent, the insurance agent that is referred to you by Logisticare, I have the specialized knowledge, experience, and expertise to help you navigate the changing transportation industry landscape. And again, I'm sure many of you have seen this, or a couple different renditions. I've seen them all kind of cookie cutter and play off each other, but all has the same message. Think about just in that one little paragraph. Let's scare the heck out of you to further manipulate you. Let's reaffirm that you need to partner with us because we're the experts, and then further substantiate that with our vast knowledge and elitist experience that you can trust us. This is the type of bogus nonsense that it makes me just absolutely laugh and cringe at the level of manipulation. It's just like that, what was it, a couple videos back that I put together where the brokers let's see, it was Logisticare, MTM, Southeast Trans, they all sent out the exact same email encouraging you, those people who are in network with the brokers, to take action, and yet they all three of those brokers shared the exact same email. Again, you want to talk about Russian collusion, trust me, these brokers are all in cahoots together. But I wanted to share this just to further underscore and illustrate the level of manipulation and the tactics that brokers will deploy. Now, let's go ahead and let's dive into some emails. Now, this first email is actually from a client provider I started working with this past week. So I've only been working with them for maybe the 4 or 5 days tops. Great guy. Shardy Samuel has an exact same business model as you guys. One completely one-dimensional. Partnered exclusively with a broker. Only does ambulatory transportation. Here's the good news. Like you, Shardy and Samuel, he's very humble. He knows that he needs to dramatically change his business model, completely redirect 180 degrees and head off in a different direction. So that's kudos to his credit. Again, we just started working this past week, and as we started working, here it is. He's working with Logisticare. Most of you know that Logisticare just acquired National MedTrans. So this client provider was working with National MedTrans for quite some time. Again, completely one-dimensional. All sources of revenue came from the broker, only doing ambulatory transportation. So he is just on the take. He can't even afford to change his business model in the immediate future, or he loses everything, as in no more money coming in whatsoever. That's why we need to deploy a sound strategy that allows him to transition. So, ironically enough, the same time that he enlists my help, here it is. Logisticare is acquiring National MedTrans. He's got to get this agreement signed ASAP, or his spigot dries up immediately, as in no more money, no more revenue, no way to fund the ship, nothing. So we needed to basically concede. Interestingly enough, we had to basically concede this past week to just take the SHIT sandwich that Logisticare has given us and just accept it and move on. So long story short, what happened is, and there's a lot of emails going back and forth in a short period of time, this representative from Logisticare proposed the rates to him. They were a little bit lower as compared to what he was getting from National MedTrans, and she told him specifically that he could counter. And I'll read you. It says, then she said, well, it's more than that, than his rates of reimbursement. It's more than what I had. I said, that's true until we get to 10 miles, and most of our trips were over 8 miles. How can I survive on less money? She said, quote, send what you want and I'll submit it. She said she had within $1 range wiggle room. So she's inviting him to negotiate, and she's telling him, she's signaling to him, I got about $1 worth of wiggle room in here to negotiate. So don't go crazy with it, she told him. As long as it's within reach, it's okay, she told him. They correspond. And she shut him down. She said, no, we can't. After she already signaled to him, send us your counter. I got about $1 worth of wiggle room in here. Stay within range. We should be able to work something out. So then my client provider, after they shut him down and reject the counter, he said, I thought you said we could counter. She said she ran into her the higher ups, and they said that's the most they will go for in that service area, which I know for an absolute fact, 100% certainty, they're paying other people at a higher rate. Know it for an absolute fact. Please let me know if you want to move forward with us. So clearly understand what's happening here. When you look at these, the brokers, you look at their tactics. Now look at the little ad there, the little endorsement, if you will, that I played at the beginning of this video. They will lie to your face. They will absolutely lie to your face because they get bonused on the amount of money they save the company. How do I know this? Because I know people that used to work for Logisticare, MTM, and they will tell you that's how they get bonused. They get bonused on their performance, not just on their work-related performance, but the savings. How much do they save the brokerage? How much do they save the broker? The more they save, the more they get a bonus. They get a bonus as a percentage of how much they save. They will lie right to your face. Bottom line, this is case in point. In one side of her mouth, in one conversation, she told this provider, hey, counter, keep it within about $1. I got wiggle room within $1. Keep it within range. We'll be able to work with you. Time goes by. He says, what's up? She says, no, that's it. We're capped out with what we offered you. I know for an absolute certainty, absolute fact, there's other providers in the area getting higher rates of reimbursement. But because they know they got this provider by the cojones, they know they could have their way with them. Now, what are the lessons learned for this client provider and for you? This client provider, again, I just gave you a quick little snippet to set the stage so you can understand the context and the circumstances. This client provider seems like a great guy, very humble, knows he stepped in it, he's highly leveraged because he's one-dimensional. And he knows he has to transition, so he's very humble. Awesome. Love it. Those are exactly the type of people I want to work with and I want to help transition to see them succeed. But as I explained to him, and he completely realizes, he has had diarrhea of the mouth. I'll say that again. He has had diarrhea of the mouth. Gets on the phone, does all the pleasantries, talks to him, tells Logisticare everything about his company, what he wants to do, his hopes, his aspirations, everything. And all they're doing is registering this as naivete. Again, I've said it before, and I'm going to continue to underscore and say this again. These brokers, they don't want you to be a smart businessman. They just want you to be a man in business. They don't want you to be a smart, sound businesswoman with business acumen. They just want you to be a woman in business. They don't care. They just want to use you and abuse you, chew you up and spit you out because they'll find someone else. Bottom line. This is why you need to play, and I always say this when it comes to negotiations, that's why it's really 10, 15, 20% terms, and the other 80 to 90% is simply how you play the game. Bottom line. And the last thing you want to do with someone like a broker like this is have diarrhea of the mouth. The right hand doesn't need to know what the left hand is doing. They don't need to know everything. And I get it. I get it. This guy, painfully nice guy, painfully well-intentioned. I read his emails and his correspondence. He's very courteous and considerate. That all is to be commended. That's awesome. But what is the end result? This woman who he's being so friendly to and having such pleasantries and kindness to, that's phenomenal. That's great. But what happens? She legitimately tells him one thing, and then when he follows up on it completely, on the other side of her mouth, tells her something completely different. No, that's it, capped out. How do I know this? Well, I see the correspondence. So long story short, we've had to draft response basically because he has completely has his back against the wall, one-dimensional. We got to just take what we can get for right now, just to stay operational. So that to remain operational, that's going to give us breathing room. He has some cash flow coming in, slim margins, but margins nonetheless that we're going to be able to use to leverage to catapult us into a totally different direction and trajectory. So the good news is I just started working with this provider, and he's very humble, enthusiastic, and willing. And that's different. There's a difference there. He's humble, he's willing, and he's excited to move forward in a completely different direction. Those are the intangibles you absolutely need to be successful, which are phenomenal. Now, let me quickly give you another email. This is from another. This one upsets me. This is from a client provider who's very experienced, and it upsets me because he's losing his business. I say losing rather loosely, but he's basically shut down through no fault of his own, only because of this scandemic. He writes, "Hello, Joel. I reached out to him recently. I had worked with him in the past. Great husband and wife team working hard. He says, hello, Joel. We are still here, but there is still not a lot happening. We have spoken with many of the facilities listed on your market analysis and received positive responses, but we are still on lockdown. We have also reached out to the home health care providers, and a couple have requested pricing. We seem to be going in circles with the hospitals, but I feel we will connect with the right people. Again, I worked with him before. Part of that was developing a market analysis for him. He loved it. It was great. He is shut down. Again, go back and watch all my videos. I'm not a prophet. I'm not 100% right, but I'm right a lot of times. And because I study things, watch habits, patterns, I look for habits and patterns so I can kind of make good, strong, strategical moves. What did I say many months ago when this scandemic first hit? I said, watch for the difference between red and blue states. Like me, he's in a communist blue state and he is still shut down. And this data and statistics definitely don't warrant it. It's an absolute laughable joke. But his business, that's why it upsets me. He's in a position where he can't do anything. And yet I have other people in other states that cannot keep up with the ballooning effect. They are scrambling to add more vehicles because of the ballooning effect. He's in a communist blue state. He can't pinch anything. But he goes on to say, this is what's interesting. Here's the difference between this client provider and the scenario I just told you with the other client provider and Logisticare. He continues, MTM called. Now, Logisticare, nation's largest and worst broker, followed quickly behind by MTM, which is the second largest broker. MTM called and told me they would triple my volume if I reduced my rates. I'll read it again. MTM called and told me they would triple my volume if I lowered my rates. As in, volume matters. Volume doesn't matter if it's not profitable. I always say this. If I'm drowning in 5 feet of water, the last thing I need is 3 more feet of water. I'm good. I'll drown here in 5 feet of water. I don't need 8. But here we go. This is the logic and mentality of a broker, one of the bait and switch tactics they use, and the unsuspecting man in business, woman in business, being a smart, sound businesswoman or businessman, they always fall prey for that. Lower your rates, we'll give you greater volume. So I'm making next to nothing, so give me more. So I can burn more in fuel, burn more in labor, burn more in wear and tear, increase my demand and frustrations regarding staffing and human resource responsibilities. It's a laughable joke. If I'm drowning in 5 feet of water, the last thing I need is more water. MTM called and told me they would triple my volume if I reduce my rates. Now, what did this experienced provider say? I respectfully declined the offer. And there's the difference. He's not one-dimensional. He's not foolish. He's experienced. He's not going to be leveraged. He's not going to fall for that stupid bait and switch. He's not going to fall for these stupid commercial insurance costs are expected to increase dramatically in the coming months. Now more than ever. You better do what we say, blah, 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 blah. He continues, I respectfully decline the offer. I am hoping to once again use your services when we get any hint of a path to profitability. Awesome. Now, Joel, I get it. Some of you are saying, Joel, you've said these types of things before. Why do you regurgitate and say it? Because it bothers me. Why does it bother me? Because I can't stand the elitist mentality of these brokers. Why does it bother me so much about this second client provider, his situation? He's smart, he's experienced, he was doing exceptionally well before, but through no fault of his own, only because of this scandemic and stupid politicians who are controlling and manipulating the situation, he can't squeeze out a drop. He can't squeeze out a drop. Now listen, I understand. What I'm about to say is going to seriously offend many of you knee benders and virtue signalers. So before you send your hate mail, just understand I'm not going to see it because I don't care. I apologize, but I really don't. I'm going to sleep well at night. But again, it's like when I look at this right here where it says the The mayor exempts funeral attendees from city quarantine restrictions. Why is it okay for these elitists? Again, I parallel that elitist mentality to that of the brokers, to that of these politicians who are not allowing this provider to do what he does best, be an entrepreneur, help people, serve people, and everybody wins. And yet here it is. Why is it? I mean, again, I keep calling it a scandemic because how is it that virus? It is a virus. It is dangerous. But how is it is so obedient and so smart that when the mayor gives an exemption, that virus knows that when they have 3 different funeral services, somehow that virus knows that no one is going to be affected there. That virus is not going to go there. It's a very obedient virus. Do I need to even bring up all the protests? But somehow we don't hear about that. So they can have these type of funeral services, but you can't. You can't have funeral services. If one of your loved ones passed away, you can't have funeral services. You can't go to church. They can go to church. You can't go to church. You can't go to the hospital. They can go to the hospital. Why? This is the type of mentality that upsets me. And this is why I always encourage, sound the alarm, press all of you who are still watching, haven't unsubscribed. I know a lot of the knee benders and virtue signalers have already checked out and unsubscribed. But this is why I encourage you, why you've got to be God-inspired, self-empowered to build and diversify your own business so that you are not held hostage by these elitist people who run the brokers, the politicians. You want to talk about collusion? You want to talk about some backhand papering up? You want to talk about some Russian collusion? You look at some of the ties and the lobbying between what these brokers do, the MTMs, the Logisticares. You look at some of the lobbying they do with some of the politicians. Oh, don't make me open up that can of worm right now. Trust me, I promise. You want to talk about Russian collusion? Get Congress on that one. But as I digress, let me finish on a high point here. I want to quickly read this. This is from another client provider who, a husband and wife team, doing great. Started with them like 2-3 weeks ago, tops. Not that they're doing bad, but they know we got to make some big steps to really project our business and move it forward. We started doing work with them. Just developed some of her materials for her. She said, wow, this is awesome. For a minute, I forgot who you were talking about. This is very detailed and so professional. This is exactly the image of professionalism we want our company to be portrayed as. We're ready to move on to the next task. And little does she realize just how good it's going to get because she hasn't even seen everything yet. But that is the benefit. That is, so when people ask me, Joel, why do you do what you do? Look, is the transportation industry, is it a sexy business? No, not at all. It's transportation. The gratification and satisfaction that I get now at this point in time in working with client providers are situations like this. Being able to help with this husband and wife team, knowing that she's in a situation, we're going to be able to transform her business. Her and her husband have been in business for a couple years, but they know they need to make moves now. They got to make moves now. And that's why we do what we do, my team and I, because I always enjoy receiving emails such as this. So, I know I rambled. I know I offended some of you. I don't know how I'm going to sleep at night. Oh, I'll sleep pretty good because I do it pretty much every night. But for those of you fighting the brokers, please, I beg of you, dear Lord Jesus, please help them. Act like a good, smart, sound businessman. Act like a good, smart, sound businesswoman. Do not allow yourself to be manipulated or beholden to anybody. Bottom line, you are in business as an entrepreneur to empower yourself, to make more money, create wealth, generational wealth. The Bible says you're supposed to build an inheritance for your children's children. I know there's politicians who are doing their darndest to stop you from doing that with high taxation and all that kind of good stuff, to create obstacles and challenges for you. But I encourage you, be smart, be sound, be wise, invest in your business, diversify, have multiple streams of income coming in so you are not manipulated, you are not brainwashed, you are not easily manipulated or malleable to a broker, insurance, a politician, or anyone else. Trust in God, trust in yourself. When you do, I'll see you at the top.